Welcome in, everybody. We have your Browns film breakdown mailbag of the week. It's a bye week edition of the mailbag, as we are obviously not talking about an upcoming opponent. In the coming days, we will have some rookie breakdowns that I've wanted to get to. I really view the bye week as next week because I'm doing a lot of game recap. The Browns will be in the building next week, so it won't technically be their bye week, but that's when you'll get a majority of that stuff leading up to the Jets game. But we're going to start with some of those breakdowns of rookie performances. Plenty of great things to come on the website, so make sure you're coming over and understanding the details of this roster, where things have gone off the rails. I wrote today about why this offense doesn't look like the one that you think it should look like, or what we all thought it was going to look like based on missing two key elements of what Kevin used to be when he was hired. An important quote in there from himself about how he tries to marry the run and pass, and his job is to make the run look like the pass and vice versa. And all of that's covered in there and is continuing in the trend of where this offense has gone sideways. And that's not even including the defense, which there are plenty of thoughts to come on that in the next 7 days or so. All right. So very busy show. We got some great questions from the founders chat. We got some great questions from our Substack chat, all filled with people trying to understand why the Browns are 2-6 and where it goes from here with huge important games for whatever side you want to view this as, whether you want the Browns to turn this around and win some ball games, or you're a believer in tanking for the best draft pick. We've got it all covered for you. So it's Jake and Brad here. We are ready to get going with the latest Browns film breakdown mailbag, sponsored by FanDuel and Monfredi Dental. Let's get started right now. Guys, hello. What's up? What's happening? It's me and Brad. We're here in the midst of a Thursday night football game, Dolphins and Ravens going on right now in the very early stages of that one, so nothing to really banter on there. But the NFL week is kicked off, and with an NFL week kicking off, we obviously have a rare relaxing weekend coming up this weekend. But I did think it was a good point, and we'll get to some other things like some first half superlatives of the season in terms of the players who have played the best in our opinion, who's played the worst, who we need to see figure some things out. We'll get to that this weekend. But I still think even in the bye week, it's a good thing to have questions and thoughts, and mailbags are appropriate even if they don't have an opponent. So we're going to do that today. Brad, what's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm good, Jake. Fired up about this mailbag. It should be interesting, There's a lot of different feelings and emotions going on out there. We recorded All Eyes on Cleveland. It was a pretty emotional show. People are upset and in their feelings a little bit, and that's to be understood.
Fans haven't been rewarded enough in the last 25 years, man, to especially the past. I mean, think about it. We're coming up on the 2016 season was the 1-15 season. We're coming up on 10 years removed from that, which we know then had an 0-16 before they even started to consider themselves with that 18 draft to be figuring some things. It's just not been long enough. That this window was supposed to be competitive for a long while, and we're in the midst of what are going to be back-to-back really rough seasons, and Browns fans are we're worn down. Like, I remember the arguments that we were having in 16, 17, 18, those, kind of like, it's not that Twitter was clearly new. It was just like a different level of enthusiasm around it because you had those picks and you wanted to get the reward of figuring it out with the first overall pick, and Nick was coming along, and it was just different. Now it's like just a bunch of I don't know, man. It's like a dystopian novel, just a chiseled group of like worn down people missing arms and legs, and it's kind of depressing in a way, the way that this is going. Because like today, the Browns put out a survey, which I know we're going to talk a little bit about like season ticket holders in this new stadium and what the cost would be in PS. And it's like, man, I don't think you should do this right now. I don't like you're really killing fans, and you're going to throw something in front of them that might tell a person who paid, $20,000 for 6 seats a year is now going to have to pay $100,000 because of private seat license to PSL. So like, it is such a tone deaf organization right now.
Yeah. Bad timing all around on that announcement and the screenshots that got out, that were sent out to the season ticket holders. So
brutal. It's brutal.
Not great.
Not great, man. Not a good time to do it. I don't know. We could probably do a whole show on some of the stuff there, but not really worth it at this point. But what we do want to do is get to your guys' questions. I know we have them written up here. If there's some that have come in late and we're doing this at like 8:30, I'll get to those in the opening drive tomorrow. I'll get those answered for you. So if you don't hear your answer in here, it's going to be in writing. But we got a great one here set up, Brad. So let's get after it.
Let's go. Your guys' questions. Always smart, astute questions. Founders chat first is always Artie Peshaman, who has loaded up the founders chat with questions today. We'll start with Artie and we'll end with Artie here. But Artie's first question might be more of a full episode. But what would you like to see from the next offensive system?
Yeah, I think it's an episode in the future for sure. We don't have an answer. I don't even know so much that it's a system, Brad. I think it's just like a play caller who's got some adaptability and proven game plan structure. Like, can you develop something that your talent works well? Because everybody's like, every system has elements of other systems. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a copycat league.
And I understand there's baselines to some things that some other teams don't do. Like on the extreme ends is like Philadelphia's approach and gun run and some RPO stuff, and Steichen's a tree of that, all the way over to like Shanahan's wide zone. And like there's a spectrum there, but there's so much missing to know. Like I need to know who's the quarter. Like I just want somebody who's got proof and adaptability. It cannot get worse than what I'm breaking down right now. It can't. So I'm open to a lot of different ideas on that approach to offense. I'm not, cornering the Browns in any one spot. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's not an answer. And I know that isn't, but like, we'll get a better feel for it when we get closer to that being a serious decision,
People keep laughing at me because I keep trying to put a positive spin on this thing, in talking with Jack Duffin and some of the cap work he's doing. And he basically is laid out, like, hey, $98 million could be free to fix your offensive line next year. And if you were to hit on a quarterback and a wide receiver in two of your first three picks, this thing would look a lot different. And everybody goes, Peter's reaction last night, well, ifs and buts or whatever, my uncle, whatever that saying is. And, they said the same thing earlier. But it's true, though. If you hit on the quarterback, things change awfully quick. So, and they will have a chance to get up high. I don't know what quarterbacks will be there, but I think the system depends a lot on who that quarterback is.
Sure. Yeah, no, man. It's daunting until it's not daunting. I mean, like, again, continue to go back to what we saw with the Marvin Lewis stuff the other day. I mean, it is, it's, let me put it this way. The Browns have been looking for a quarterback solution and maybe let one of them get out of their grasp in the last 25 years here. But like, yeah, I mean, you got to figure it out somehow, some way. And if you want to be a believer, like I understand, Jack is selling optimism. I get it. It's easy to be like, fix $98 million to fix the offensive line. And I get that. I mean, I totally get there's opportunity with a recognition that like good offensive linemen rarely are available in free agency and stuff. Yeah. Like there's just a lot to that. But if you get the quarterback that is serviceable in the same way that Dalton was and find an elite talent at wide receiver, then, you got a chance. It's not one pathway to solving this.
No,
there's certainly not one, but you got to get talent quick. If you want it to turn around in a year, you got to hit quick. Well, like you got to really hit it hard. So you can't sit here and be like, they got to take the quarterback at 2 or 3 or 4, wherever they pick, because we have seen quarterbacks in the middle of the first round or even into the 20s be good football players quicker than people anticipated.
Yeah.
Like there's many examples of that over the years. Right. And there's obviously a lot of pathways to go, but you do have to figure like the biggest thing is you can give the avenue however you want to give the avenue, but finding that avenue is daunting. There's a lot to it. So
yeah.
you need a home, you need beyond a home run. What I call it a Hail Mary. You got to hit the Hail Mary. Someone's got to catch in the end zone. That's the theory here to me. It's a lot.
All right. Yeah, it's a lot, but there are pathways out of this. So and so all hope is not lost here. Matt W, question 2. I hate how soft we are. I think we are in need of a tough guy, culture changer, a la Jarvis. I go back to Epic Hard Knock speech. Do we have that guy on the roster? What potential free agent trade market could potentially fill that role?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's too early for some of the rookies, right? Like Schwarzenegger's not a yelling type, but he could be. There's just time for those guys. It's clear they don't have a Jarvis like veteran here. Miles is not a vocal type. JOK had some of that. I think he brought some of that. That's why it's a bummer that he's not able to play. But most of the guys are not that. I agree. I would like some tough SOBs, especially like wide receiver.
At wide receiver.
You go back and look at like the Browns game with the Patriots, like Matt Collins, that type of guy who's like willing to give his life blocking bigger bodies, but can still get open and be a professional receiver here and there. They need, and I'm not trying to say like you just need a tough wide receiver. They need tougher wide receivers for sure. But like I'm with that idea. They need a boisterous person, a person who can. It's the old analogy I've heard: the thermostat leader versus a thermometer leader, right? Like there are some guys who can, like a thermostat raises the temperature around it. There's a few of those guys out there, right? Who bring everybody up to their level, who lift everyone around them. And then there are the thermometer leaders, who guys, when it's hot, they're ready to lead, right? But when it's not, they can't lift anyone up. That whole thing is real. They need more of those types. It's not the end all be all, of course, but I agree with the message there that like they need more of that. They do.
Shit's contagious, bruh.
Never dies. All time Hard Knocks. Almost every year that gets replayed. Always enjoy that.
Love it. Brian Cassidy up next. It's the bye week or the self-scout week. After watching all the film, if the Browns are actually trying to win, what types of plays are increasing and or decreasing?
I don't have the let me be careful with this. I don't have like the singular play or type of play. I know it when I see it. When I feel like I see, and if you guys are loyal watchers of the videos, like I will explain to you when I see things that are building to other things that have a real game plan tied around. I want to feel like there's a game plan and structure, not an opening script, which he's fine at. I need to see in-game adaptability the way I saw from McDaniels on Sunday. Like, oh, this is the stuff they struggle with. Now let's go attack what they struggle with and put them to bed in this direction. Like the Browns have there is no cohesive structure to me. Like sit down, Jake, watch the game. What were they trying to do? Who were they trying to pick on? What was their avenue to finding some success? I need more of that. And I've not been able to pick that up from their approach. So that's something I would really like to see more of. It's not one thing, but when you watch those film breakdowns, I'll be able to tell you there are some really well designed concepts that they have put on paper, and especially in the opening drive. I broke it down in that video earlier this week, but then there's just a total disappearance of it the rest of the time. So you need that stuff, that layered concept, building on the next, coming back to it in the third, fourth quarter. That's the stuff we need to see more of.
Yeah, you find a play that puts the team in conflict, the defense in conflict. You need to continue to put the team in conflict with that same play or variation of it and wrinkles off of it until they figure out how to defend it. Like, why would you not do that? It feels to me like how you build an identity or how you build an offense that you can, go back to. And it just doesn't seem like it's building anywhere.
No, it feels very... I'll put it this way. There are things that I see other teams do to the Browns defense that I notice other teams pick up on throughout the weeks leading up to it.
Yeah.
And I don't get that with the offense. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I'll know it when I see it. And if you care enough to watch the videos, I'll be able to tell you when I see it. That's the angle.
Okay, good stuff. Artie Pesherman back here to finish out the Founders Chat portion of the mailbag tonight. How are other teams in the same offensive system family dealing with the defenses adjusting?
So how are other teams?
Kubiak, Shanahan,
Yeah, they just I
McVay.
can't sit here and tell you I have a ton of time to watch everybody else. But the 49ers, let me put it this way. The 49ers actually run wide zone. That's the biggest thing. The Browns are not in the wide zone family anymore. Like running at the 29th most in the league this year. So they're not even in that universe. So I can't even I can't break that down for you anymore. I can't tell you why the boot stuff's not working because they don't get to it. They don't try it. So I don't even know like what is the comparative scheme that they're running. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a great answer for that. That's how lost I am. Because really, honestly, like what they do out there in San Francisco is build different ways to get to places they want to get to, different motion types, different fullback blocking wrinkles where they're winding him back across the field, different variations of the wide zone. They stick to it. The Rams, what's really cool is they don't run wide zone as much as they did in their Todd Gurley days, but they get to bootleg stuff off of their run game variation really well. They have ways to block it up. They have ways to make it look like something, and they still get their quarterback out of the pocket, reset the pocket in different ways. I'm definitely open to showing you guys that stuff. I'm not opposed to it, but like also the Browns aren't doing those things. So why do we want to waste our time on that? I get why we, as a perception here, think they are that family, but they're really not that family. So like that's the thing that has been the most confusing as I was looking at this with our founders over the course of the last week or whatever. They're not doing that stuff. So I wanted to write on it today about like we think they're this because they told us they were going to try to be, and they're not. So yeah.
We went through those numbers on All Eyes tonight, the boot numbers and wide zone numbers, and it's astonishing. It feels like you were lied to, right? A little bit. Like we're getting back to this, but they haven't.
I think it's a great question for Kevin to answer. Like, hey, you had your All-Pro guard talk about
this,
getting back to this world that you guys lived in at one time, and now you're away 29. From it. You're actually further than ever from some of those things you used to do. Like, philosophically, like, is there a reason for that? I understand you don't want to give away too much as a coach, but like that's an interesting, you'd probably give some coaches speak answer about like, hey, we adapt our game plan every week for something, whatever. I get it, but like
we got to get better.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a mystery how Joel could be so convinced, a huge part of why he wanted to come back. And then they're not that. It's interesting, to say the least.
It is. All right, Artie, again, what signs can we look for that a position group coaches are effective? Do you
I think that it's the linebackers are a great example of this. The Devin Bush has come in. Tarver does a good job. I even give the safeties credit. And I think Efron Bander's like these guys who are getting even the players who are not high level guys to come in, sometimes UDFAs,
and do a job.
Rise to the standard and meet the duties requirements. And the problem is a wide receiver. I don't get that vibe. Like, I don't get that those guys come in and do the little things right. They line up where they're supposed to line up. They run the route they're supposed to run, and they run it with a precision to what they're trying. You know what I mean? There's so little of that.
They don't, happens, and there's not a culture. To your point earlier, there's not a culture of toughness with the receivers. There's not a culture of like, I'm going to do whatever it takes for my team to win. I'm going to block till the whistle blows, no matter what. I'm going to get out and find somebody to block on this play for my running back. Like, where's that culture? And that's a culture in a wide receiver room. And it doesn't need to be, each individual room can have its own culture, but like, hey, we're going to be some tough SOB wide receivers that we're not going to get out physical, and we're going to block, and we're going to finish plays. The culture in this wide receiver room, from watching your film breakdown, is the opposite of that. It's like, we're not finishing routes, and we're not, you know what I mean? Like, we're missing blocks, and we're not very physical in general. I don't know.
I'm with you, dude. The little things aren't done. And I'd say the offensive line is the same way so far. They don't do the little things well.
No.
They don't carry those tasks and the way that they need to carry them to get the job done. So I'm totally with you. The little things on offense are missed like crazy. So yeah.
It's infuriating.
Mhm.
Lastly, Artie, again, do you agree or disagree with the following Browns? The Browns put essentially no credence in winning habits.
No credence. I can't say that, but I can, with relative conviction, say it's not anywhere near as consistent as it needs to be. I don't think you can be like, no, not at all. But they don't prioritize it in a way I feel like that is the most important thing in the world to them. And I think you have to really elevate the importance of that. I think the guys on offense get away with a lot of failure. Let's put it that way. Failure that they should be able to control. You know what I mean?
Held accountable for.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. To the Substack chat. Thank you, Founders Chat, as usual. Ryan N starts us off in the subject chat. You brought up tanking through coaching on a recent pod. Do you think Stefanski has prioritized player evaluation over winning games in the past? Baker goal line series versus Steelers in 21, Deshaun versus the Saints in the freezing weather in 22 are examples of that come to mind.
Yeah. I hope not.
Yeah.
I think that there's been some of that we've tried to lean into. Like, let's see what a guy can do. If they're still doing that type of stuff this far into this universe, like,
Yep.
I don't think to say, hey, that's not happening. I can't say that, but I mean, like, I don't know, Brad. I just can't. I hope I don't like living in that world of like the conspiracy theory stuff. I'm not trying to say anything that hits too close to home there, but I just if they're still doing that, that's so flawed. It would just be so disappointing. There's no reason for this right now. Like, you need to develop guys and put them in situations that not as, hey, can they handle this? It's no, what can they handle? And let me put in front of them what I already know they can handle. That's the learn what your guys can handle and give them the best opportunity to succeed.
Well said. Connor, 2 questions for you guys. When does the pain end? And then, assuming he's here to make the selection, what quarterback in the 26 draft is the most Kevin Stefanski quarterback you can think of? Thanks for all you guys do, making this train wreck of a season / team entertaining. Thank you, Connor.
I think, Connor, if I knew when number 1 was going to happen, you make a lot of money having that answer. And I know you're being facetious, but like, I really wish I did know. A lot of people do. A lot of people are like, just one time before I die, would I like to, that's the sad part. I think Mendoza and Simpson are 2 guys that would fit Kevin well. I mean, even Dante Moore. I don't have a real problem with any of those guys, Brad, not fitting with Kevin's, you know what I'm saying, status or structure. Like, I think they're very, Mendoza's very regimented, quick thrower, processor, stand in and take a hit guy. Same with Simpson. He likes to play over the middle. He will hit deep end breakers. He will throw those things. So I don't have a problem with that, any of them. Moore's got a little bit of the legs too to extend it, but throws a good football, reads it out well. I'm not a believer that all of them need to go back to school so much. I think there's patience that should be there for all of them. I can understand, like Todd McShay was talking about that. Like, all of these guys should go back to school. Of course, everybody wants to play the maximum college opportunities these guys can, but that's not the world you live in. So can you take a guy who maybe could have used a couple more college games and give him a simplified, dumbed down, easier version of NFL football?
Yeah.
That's where I get a little conflicted. Do I think stylistically those guys can be something Kevin works with? I think so. I think so. But I'm a little less clear on that answer than I've ever been.
In his mailbag today, McShay compared Simpson to Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's aggressive. I don't know that I'm there with Simpson. I think he's got some really good qualities. Like a Joe Burrow light type of thing here. Maybe he's not physically as big as Joe either, but yeah, I like Ty Simpson. I don't know that I would go Burrow, level prospect. And I don't even know. Maybe he's not saying he's Burrow level prospect. He's just like stylistically similar to Joe.
Pre to post snaps, stuff like in his footwork. We haven't seen somebody like that since Burrow.
Yeah, I think he's a good football player, man. He's playing high level, really quickly in the SEC. Yeah, he's a good football player. There are options. I'm not. There's so many people ready to punt on this quarterback class. I'm like, I'm not even there. I'm not even close to there. So
There's a lot of football to be played, man.
yeah,
A
and
lot
I
of
think some of the football that's already been played has been pretty good.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm not ready to give up on Sellers because I feel like he's getting better on a week-to-week basis despite what's around him. So
yeah, I am too. I would. He's one though that I would like to see him win more. Like just not being like winning is not a quarterback stat. I just would like him to understand more about winning football at the college level. Find a bigger program with better talent around him. How does all of that look? How does he look navigating the ship and some of that? But also he's an extremely tantalizing talent if he comes out.
yeah, he's a unicorn.
And if you're picking at like 8, and you landed with him, you would. That's interesting.
Yeah,
That's interesting,
you
man.
feel really good about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jack Santa Emma. Browns are in a very weird spot where they clearly hit with this rookie class and are set up nicely for the 26th draft, yet still have so many QB, offensive line, wide receiver / coaching issues. It's a strange mix of feelings. Do you think guys like Miles and Denzel will age out by the time this offense is in a spot where it's ready to compete, and then the defense won't be where it needs to be? That is the question.
That's the burning question. Whether the question is how burning is it for the Browns, because guys are approaching 30 who matter to the defense, and I have no other piece to add to that other than that is a fact. I don't know. They need to hit on offense talent quick. It's one thing to talk about what this offense needs. It's another thing to actually get it done, which is a big task. We'll see if they can do it. I don't know.
Do you like? I think that I don't think they have an option with guys like Ward and Garrett. Like I think they're going to be here in Delpit, whether they get there in time or not. You know what I mean? Or maybe not. I don't know. But like, it just feels like trading those guys will set you back financially. And I just don't know if that's in the cards. I feel like they are going to try to turn this around fast enough to have those cornerstones a part of it.
Yeah, I don't know where they're at, and we did a whole show projecting whether they're tanking or not. So it's hard for me to like, hey, they're for sure asset dumping, and if they're asset dumping, here's the clear guys that need to go. And like most of those guys are usually like middle tier veterans at the trade deadline here, kind of like Posick and Shelby Harris and Teller maybe, and some of those guys not are the top of the line guys going to be here. Maybe. Probably true, yeah, because it's like the value of getting those guys back is tough, right? It's tough.
Almost impossible.
So, yeah, I mean, I put those percentages low, and I think that's probably natural for most places that aren't in like fire sale mode. And I don't think the Browns want to be in a fire sale mode with a certain tier of their talent yet. Also, I don't know if they ever will, like you said, because of how they structured these contracts and what they're dealing with getting Watson off the books and stuff. It's restrictive. It's restrictive in a way.
To a certain point, yeah. They have 8 players with guaranteed money going into next year, which really isn't that bad.
No, it's not. It's not. But like we know,
that's not counting void years and stuff. That's just guaranteed kind. So your Watson, Garrett, Jerry Jeudy, Malik Collins has $3 million guaranteed next year. JOK, Mason Graham, Schlesinger, and Judkins. And Mike Halls was voided. So there's your 8.
Yeah, so there's flexibility that is there in terms of what they can do. But yeah, I mean, not often you see people who are gigantic free agent spenders have success either. So there's just a fine navigation point there to figure out. I'm interested to see how they handle it. I mean, I know everybody is really. So
yeah.
We'll see.
Nate Whitaker can't recall if Jake studied Tommy Reese's offense when his hire was announced. If so, curious to hear if Jake sees any of his influence in play design or scheme.
Not entire. I mean, not entirely. I think that a lot of what Tommy was doing at Alabama turned into like fitting Jalen Milrow in a way. So it was a lot of quarterback run game and getting diverse in those looks. Some of his Notre Dame stuff is I'm not not inclined to go back and look at that. I think some of the gun stuff is concepts that he likes, and the motion influence has somewhat been him. I know
Like
he's
the
tried to
exit
do that.
motion stuff.
Yeah, different modern motion stuff has been his, you know, additions to this. And I think some of the stuff that you've seen with Fannin moving around probably tied into his way of thinking too. But it's anybody who can tell you that percentage level that he's influencing Kevin and what's being called and structured. We don't, it's really murky gray area that I don't like to get into. I've seen
Yeah.
some of his influence to answer your question, Nate, but not enough to be like, he's the problem. You know what I mean? In the way that Ken Dorsey felt like he was failing a lot of that last year.
Yeah.
But he could call plays and we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, God. That's a whole nother thing. Todd Trout. Who do you think is the next player to be traded by AB?
Probably Shelby Harris. Malik Collins makes the most sense from a player that would be worthwhile to somebody out there. But probably Shelby. I mean, the one that is probably pretty high odds, should be high odds, is Njoku. That'll just be kind of sad. It's just a sign
Yeah.
of like couldn't get it done during a contract. He's been here for 9 years now. It's a bummer, but I'd probably put Shelby Harris and Njoku at the top of the list.
I'll throw Teller in there.
Yeah, I'm just like the next guy.
Yeah.
The percentage is probably like, Shelby and Njoku are 25%, Teller's like 20%. To put some FanDuel odds on these guys, so
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Seriously.
Do that. So, Njoku's probably like minus 100, something like that. Teller's like minus 300.
Yeah.
I think they're going to get moved. I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, I thought they'd do something this week. So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Still no word on Barry talking, huh? So
Nope, not a peep.
Jake Rhodes, schematically, why is Stefanski's offense so QB unfriendly? Why have we been one of the worst passing offenses in the league since way back when K-Steph took over? Is it route concepts, play action, inefficiencies, poor wide receiver play? Curious to hear Jake's take on this at some point. Lil Kev can't keep pointing the finger at the quarterbacks.
So I think that as the time has gone on, they've gotten away from stuff that stresses defenses, run to pass. That conflict stuff has faded. I think the front side of their primary side of reads is dated. They like to run concepts on the front side that I think are easy to cover. They've run them for a while, smash and hitch seam and just stuff that is like is a design stuff called like spot, which is like a hitch, a corner, and a flat. There's just stuff that I feel like is very elementary on the front side that it's like it's so easy to cover that then your offensive line isn't able to hold up to get to the backside dig or get to a front side to backside combo read. So I feel like that they also, just like I said, they haven't made play action an effective part of their game. They don't run stuff that mirrors the run game well enough to make it easier on the quarterback. So it's not
Yeah.
like, if Baker was playing with Kevin in 2020, maybe they found 5 or 6 wide open routes a game in various portions of the field. They're finding like maybe 1, maybe 2 right now. They're just nothing's breaking free. So I don't feel like they're making this offense challenging to defend at the core.
No, I would agree with you 100%. Becker Nesbella, at the risk of starting another fight, if the roles were reversed and you had seen the exact games from Shador that you've seen from Gabriel, would you be ready to move on to Gabriel?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
no doubt.
It matters to me not the name of the player at all or who they are. It just matters what they do on the field.
Totally agree. I have nothing to add to that. I just like if Shador was playing really poorly and we hadn't seen Dylan yet, I'm open to it. Same way I'm open to him.
Yep. Who's your dream wide receiver with the Jags pick?
Carnell Tate probably at the top, but I'd also be fine with Jordan Tyson. I like the Chris Bell kid at Louisville. Like I think Carnell Tate sits at the top, but
He's
there's a
better than
couple more
Tyson.
guys I'd be fine. Yeah, I like him more than Tyson. I do. I think
Really?
they're. I think he's more physically built for the NFL level. Tyson would be fine, be good with him. I think he's explosive. I think he's got some really great route fluidity. I would be fine with. I just would put him right behind Tate, and then obviously there's Mekhi Lemon's a really fun player out of USC. We've done a write up on him. It's a good draft to have a mid late pick. I think there's some enticing wide receivers in that range.
Some good wide receivers. There's good pairs of wide receivers around, like in Indiana, and there's some other guys too. So, All right. Harold White asking, explain how is it that the Browns do not incorporate any of the offensive nuances or strategies of the top offenses, i.e. Chiefs, Rams, Colts, etc. All of these teams use plays to set up other plays. They will also use an effective play several times in the same game.
Harold, that's what I'm trying to document.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I can do is keep showing you these things and ask the same questions because I'm not in that building to ask. And I think even if I was there asking, I wouldn't get an answer. But all I can do is continue to document it so that we all know what we're dealing with here.
That's what we're doing. After watching the Chiefs game, I was writing you, I'm like, look at this stuff. Like, it's not complex, but it gets results. You're just putting guys, make a guy fight through some traffic to get to a wide receiver on a short pass play. Like, copy some of this stuff. Use it if you're facing so much man to man. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, I absolutely do, Brad. They're not. they can't seem to do that stuff that we're looking at other teams. That's why you feel like you're watching a different team on Sundays, and that's the next question there about like what the Browns haven't had a top 10 offense. I know Brian Adams is asking, "What's up, man? Great songs over the years." It's truly incredible the Browns have not had a top 10 offense since '99. What advice would you give to Jimmy if he said his number one priority is have a top 10? I would say invest in it until you do, man. Figure it out. Like take the quarterback at the top of the draft this year. Select wide receivers. So like go
offensive
you
line.
Can't solve it wishfully thinking. They still haven't. They traded for Odell. They still haven't invested in a young receiver in a meaning. Cedric Tillman's pick is not meaningful.
No.
They haven't gone about it in a way to address it with a meaningful pick. You need top end drafted offense talent. So I would continue to do that. And obviously, Brian, man, like nothing matters until you find a long-term quarterback answer. It just doesn't. It's you can have some miracle stopgap 2023 years here and there.
Yeah.
But you can't have consistency. You can't.
Yeah. Well stated. Reese Batley on the Patriots postgame pod, you talked about the waste of a pick on a quarterback as the offense doesn't have the talent for them to be a success, but also that hitting on QB is all that matters. How do the Browns balance that in the offseason? If they take a QB high, will there be enough talent around them? Do they have the resources to get what they need in free agency to set a quarterback up for success? Yes, I would say.
Yeah, and if you love a quarterback at the top of the draft, take him. If you love a wide receiver, maybe you don't love the quarterback or you're in this situation this year where they're outgunned on the quarterback that matters, right? Then get him a little further back, like get the wide receiver and come back in for a quarterback you like. I don't really care other than be aggressive to solve it this offseason. That's what I need. Like be aggressive to solve it.
Have to. Mike's up next. What are your thoughts on the Browns offensive line coach, Mike Bloomgren? He has a lot of experience in various offensive roles, but apart from a couple years at Stanford a long time ago, 2011, 2012, he doesn't really seem to have much experience as an offensive line coach. Seems to me that he's just another general offensive assistant given a title that he's maybe not suited for. The offensive line certainly doesn't give the impression of being well coached. They certainly do not.
No, they're not getting results out of the offensive line. I mean, Bloomgren is not. I mean, he was with Callahan a long time ago, a decade ago or more, maybe
Very
more.
short.
And it's like they hired a guy who was gap power center, guy at Stanford. You're getting back to wide zone. That's not really the guy. It's not a surprise if you look at his track record of how he's run the football that they're not running anything outside the tackle. Like they're very limited on runs laterally. And like I think if you just look at what has Bloomgren been good at, and maybe he's in charge of developing run game plans, it's not really rocket science to see why they're at the spot that they're at here, that they can't develop and incorporate wide zone in the structure of what they do. That was the concern I had with him, was that he wasn't necessarily a wide zone guy. And yet they're talking about wanting to be a wide zone team again. That's what we're getting back to. That's what we're trying to do. And it just felt a little, I mean, he's got a lot of track record here. He can coach, but I also wonder, like it's a fair point. He hasn't done it in a long time as just a specifically O-line guy, and he'd been in college for a long time, hadn't been in the league for a long. Like guys are very different in the league from when he coached them, so it's clearly been a failure. The offensive line has been worse than ever this year, and he owns some of that. Fair or unfair, he owns some of it.
I would
It's been
also
a failure.
say so much of what Kevin is, his Kubiak roots, like you would think that he would be able to go and coach the run game as well.
Yeah,
Like, and, or at least get across to, or make sure your hire is aligned with what you want to do in the run game. It can't just be we
yeah.
hired this guy and here's what he wants to do. Oh, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to get the back wide zone, but this guy doesn't really do that. Like that's just a poor organizational everything. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I would hope
That
that they weren't lying. I wouldn't imagine Joel was lying about some of that stuff. I don't think he'd be lying, but maybe that Joel was misguided on
misled.
that stuff. But like, they're just not doing it. So something went wrong. Either they're like trying to do it at practice or trying to do it in the offseason leading up to the year, and they couldn't get the results they wanted to get. And they're like, we can't do this as much as I don't know. But what I do know is that Bloomgren doesn't come from that family necessarily. And they're not doing it. So if he doesn't come from the wide zone family, they're not running wide zone. I mean, what are you supposed to conclude here? I don't know. They're not comfortable in it. Yeah, I would also think that Kevin was smart enough or good enough at this stuff by now, learned enough from Callahan to be able to go down there and coach him up himself.
Exactly.
But it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel
Exactly.
that way. So it's very disjointed. And it's a part of the stuff that the questions that you raise. Did they hire an offensive line coach who wasn't a fit for some of the bread and butter they wanted to do? But it also feels like McVay and Shanahan can coach that stuff. And even like,
Themselves.
certain places who are using wide zone really effectively, Atlanta for a stretch now with Bijan and some others, like they just incorporate it effortlessly and do a great job. And even if you look at like, I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but he was the O-line coach with Arizona with Petzing when they had those offenses kind of overachieving down there in Arizona. And he goes to take over the Cowboys as the offensive coordinator of the Cowboys, leaves his O-line position with the Cardinals, who have then stepped back. And now the Cowboys have one of the better run games in the NFL. So, yeah, man, it's a lot there. I just think that like the fit hasn't been good. The concerns I had about the fit, I think are there. I mean, I thought a lot of what Bloomgren liked to do was going to be good for them, and even sort of echoed Joel had talked about the type of leader he was, the type of
Yeah.
that old school O-line guy. We need some of that coming off of the Dickerson experience, but they've completely gone backward, and it's like it's in no small part because of Bloomgren's inability to raise the room. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yep. Leo1727 asks, is there anyone on the current roster who on film looks like they could take a major leap next year and change how the front office approaches this offseason? For example, turning a perceived need into a strength. That's a good question.
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, there's nobody in the receiver room. that I think is
It-
ready to make a leap to make you not want to get
unless
a,
Tillman comes back and looks better than like
yeah.
we've seen Tillman for stretches look like he could be better. I guess we haven't
Then you're
seen
still
him.
dealing with him being injured a third year in a row. What can you count
Agreed.
on? I don't.
I guess I'm just saying if he was to just stay healthy the rest of the year and look good, he could be a
Yeah.
guy.
That'd be welcome. That'd be welcome. I don't know. The running back. I mean, what are your weaknesses? The weaknesses are at quarterback. We don't have an answer on Shador, but Dylan's certainly not going to do anything to make that a strength going into next year. The offensive line. I mean, I'm open to looking at Tevin and Zenter and Whippler to see if
Yeah.
those guys could. I just want to know if those guys can be a part of the solution for next year, because you're talking about we got to rewrite the whole line. Well, what do you have in house? I'd like to know a little more of what you have in house to get to the point of that. We need 4 or 5 offensive linemen conclusion. So
It's got to happen at some point.
I would think so too. Most other positions, though, I don't feel like are in a spot where they're majorly weak. There's average at a lot of them, but majorly weak to need to go solve them. I don't, other than wide receiver, offensive line, and quarterback. I mean, the defense has issues. Large part of my issues are, I mean, I just think they have these weaknesses that are so obvious. Made the equivalency of like they run a 2-3 zone in basketball that is so good against some teams who can't shoot, who don't understand how to slash and create against 2-3, and they got like their own Patrick Ewing inside, Myles Garrett, who can just shut some things down and erase mistakes. But then you get a team out there that really knows how to shoot and knows how to work the movement of the basketball. It's like, oh, they gave up 95 points to Arkansas this week. It's like back in the Syracuse days or something. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a 2-3 zone where it's like difficult for certain teams to navigate, difficult inside that Carrier Dome. This is very, very specific reference if you know college basketball. The Carrier Dome where Syracuse played that 2-3 for so long, the shooting was never, because the depth perception was so weird because of that place. And like that's where I'm like, it feels just like a 2-3 zone. Certain teams have the personnel and coaching to beat it. And when they beat it, they beat it. And some teams cannot figure it out and they can't shoot. And it looks great. And you hold someone to 48 points in a game. And that's kind of like the equivalency of this defense. I got some data to break down on the defense run game and where they're really weak. We'll get to that.
I love that. I love that parallel.
I think it's like spot on. It's just it can work always. It's always going to have some level of it works. It's just going to get some stops. And those,
but like, you will beat better teams with great athleticism because of the defense. But if you run into a team that is well disciplined, has some really good shooters, knows how to space the floor, get the ball into the foul line, collapse the zone, and then kick out, and they can make those shots, then you're going to get torched.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what we're seeing is like, it's not even a high risk defense. It's not like kind of the way the Browns defense, it doesn't create a ton of turnovers organically either. Just like missed shots. That's what it is. Like poor decision making against the defense and missed shots. And that's like what the Browns defense is, where it's just like they force quarterbacks to miss throws here and there. They don't, the volume of turnovers isn't high. So it's good in some ways. It's very good against the right teams, but also very vulnerable. And like if this was the defense you're taking into the playoffs, we saw what the Texans did to it. In Houston. So I don't feel comfortable.
Schwartz, here's my question tonight. Has anything that Schwartz done as far as like he's added some of his what he calls change ups? That was interesting that Vrabel referred to him as change ups as well on the during their game week. Little similarity sneaking through there. But any of his the stuff that he's doing on the back end, like the Tampa 2 invert stuff and any of that, like disguising man and zone, pre to post snap, single high to two high, disguise stuff. Is any of that make you feel better about where they are defensively?
They're doing more than they used to. They're doing more. I don't. Let me be careful. Like there's core ways that this defensive line plays and linebackers play. It's not even really so much coverage.
Okay.
For me, There's certain ways that you can manipulate the first two levels that really give me concern. They don't really play those guys differently. Now, they've been better in, I think, playing some varied coverages, doing some stuff that looks like other stuff. I think they need to be way more zone defense based at times, getting creative with the blitz and having their guys play some different techniques up front. They're so upfield demanding of their defensive front that it puts an unbelievable stress on the linebackers to clean it up at times, where they just take themselves out of plays. It's like, hey, man, they get upfield quick. So on interior runs, there's two things that can be held true about interior runs with this defense. If you trap them, you can create run lanes because they're not expecting it. They get upfield and you can run past them. If it's like inside the tackle box and you're running stuff that's lateral, power counters, inside zones, they'll get vertical and create a whole bunch of madness. So you got to, inside the tackle box, trap them or influence them with guard misdirection. And then if you want to run wide, pin them on a side and run around and make them try. It's so easy to pin them and turn the corner. And then they got guys trying to scrape over the top and you got bodies out in front of them. So it's just like, can we get some different techniques played here? Can we like stop having defensive ends be automatic upfield guys on rundowns? Can we do something different that screws with the game? Oh, this week they were, you know, very focused on getting hands-on guys up front to stop them from being able to get to the second level. So there's just very little of that. There's very little of it. And it's something that teams solve.
Just go. It's like he only knows one speed up there, right?
100%. Yeah.
Interesting. All right, we've got one last question from Chi-Town Brown. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Browns receivers coach. It's hard to imagine this many wideouts can come in and all be this bad.
I need a new coach there. I'm tired of it. I just couldn't be more out on Chad O'Shea. It's not personal. I'm sure he does some things fine. I can't blame everything on him, but the voice is not working. I'm good on it.
Not getting through.
Not getting through. I would like somebody else there. The wide receivers do all the little things so poorly. I don't need you to have a ball winner. I don't need you to develop anything crazy there. I understand a little. I want your wide receivers to be tough bastards who only play if they block, who only play if they do the dirty work, who only play if they get the details right, and they don't do that. They don't do any of that, and they're frustrating, and they don't get better. Like it's a make or miss league, man. You're either getting that done with those guys or you're not, and it's not happening. So I just would like a different voice there. I know those guys are boys. They go back a little bit. I'm good on that experience.
Yeah. We talked about this earlier. The culture in there is not good.
No, it's bad. It's bad. The culture in there is bad. They got to fight the culture of the whole entire thing being bad the rest of the way, or it could get very spicy. So I know that's the end of the questions. We will have written answers in tomorrow's opening drive for you guys as well. So that's a film, that's not a film. It's been a long week. I apologize. That is the mailbag of the week with some fantastic questions from you guys, and Brad does better than anybody at putting these together. And I appreciate him for that. And I appreciate you guys for asking really, really good ones.
Great question.
Relative stuff, some different things on your Friday show next week. Leading up to the game, get a guest on, talk to the Jets guest and some other stuff leading up to that one. So we'll keep it busy, but a great mailbag this week. And like I said, we'll have some stuff reviewing the first half of the season in the coming days here. So keep your eyes out for that. Thanks for stopping by. Continue to go to the website and tell someone in your life about Browns Film Breakdown. If you can, like, subscribe, give us 5 stars on the audio platforms. Always appreciate that very much. And then, as I said, let somebody know about the website. Share it with someone, help us out, grow the community, follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and all that fun stuff. We appreciate you very much for being here. And as we always say, go Browns.